All right, the YouTube stream is streaming. Dana, are we good to go?
Yes, the line is unmuted, Chair. We are live.
Very good. Good morning. I am Brian Moffitt, and I would like to welcome everyone to the August 13th, 2021 meeting of the Downtown Commission. The Asheville Downtown Commission was created by City Council for the sustainability and continued development of downtown, a vital urban center of Western North Carolina's economic, cultural, and visitor activity. The Downtown Commission provides City Council with recommendations on downtown policies and initiatives. In addition, downtown commissioners fill out 4 of 9 seats of the city's Design Review Committee. I'll ask you to mute yourself later, which reviews development projects within the Central Business District, the River Arts District, and hotel projects outside of those areas. The Downtown Commission also has the opportunity to provide input on projects outside of the scope of design review. This morning, all committee members and staff are participating virtually. We appreciate your patience as we work through our committee meetings a bit differently for over a year. We are streaming live on our Virtual Engagement Hub, which is accessible through the Virtual Engagement Hub link on the front page of the city website and also linked on the committee page. We have an option for the public to listen live by phone, and for anyone out there today listening with us, welcome. I will now go through and introduce all the committee members who are participating virtually. Committee members, you've done this many times. Please make sure to mute your microphone if you're not speaking. When you have a question or would like to speak, unmute your microphone. Please remember to remute yourself after you are done speaking. Committee members, as I call your name, please say a quick hello. Dane Barriger.
Here.
Thank you. Franzi Charon.
Good morning.
Good morning. Andrew Fletcher.
Good morning.
Good morning. Kimberly Hunter. Hello.
Hello, everyone.
Stephen Lee Johnson.
Good morning.
Good morning. Robin Raines.
Good morning.
Guillermo Rodriguez.
Happy Friday.
Yes, indeed. Megan Rogers.
Good morning.
Ruth Summers.
Good morning.
And Sage Turner, our city council representative.
Good morning.
Everybody is here. That's awesome. At this time, we will review and approve the minutes from our June 11th, 2021. Do we have any corrections to those minutes? Okay. Is there a motion to approve them?
I move to approve the June minutes.
Very good.
I'll second.
Very good. All right. I've got to do roll call. Yay. I love this. So at this time, I'll walk through the roll. Dane Barriger has already provided a second. Franzi Charon.
Approved.
Thank you. Andrew.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, you made the motion. Sorry. Kimmy.
I need to abstain because I wasn't here.
Okay. Thank you. Stephen Lee.
Aye.
Thank you. I am also an aye. Robin.
I'm abstaining too. I wasn't here.
Okie doke. Gio.
Aye.
Megan.
I will also abstain since I missed that meeting.
Y'all, I learned yesterday that you have to vote. Sorry. After 3 people said that you can't abstain. It happened in another meeting. So even if you weren't present, you still must vote.
Oh,
Sorry.
okay. Well, I'll go back to Miss Commissioner Hunter.
Okay, approved.
Commissioner Raines.
Aye.
Commissioner Rogers.
Aye.
And then back to Commissioner Summers. Ms. Ruth.
Aye.
And Sage.
Aye.
Very good. The minutes are approved. So I'll briefly walk through our agenda so that you know what we're looking at today. We very quickly we do have a couple of public comments that we can discuss. The written comments or voicemails submitted by August 12th at 5 p.m. Were shared with commissioners in advance of this meeting, and they are available as a link on the agenda. Live call-in will be available during the meeting, and we will be looking at project review, development impact discussion. We'll briefly be discussing a draft impacts matrix to assist this commission as we review projects. And then we'll be looking at a proposal for 18 Broadway, facade changes to a historic building. We will be talking about our committee setup, and we will be talking about a fall work session. And then we will work through updates and reports, including reports from the Design Review Committee, the Asheville Downtown Association, and a downtown update report by Dana Frankel. And then we'll have some informal discussion. So Dana, do I go through should we go ahead and share or discuss any of the public comment at this time?
Yeah, I think that is appropriate.
Perfect. So we received 2 public comment items. One from, can anyone help me with her last name? Rosemary Pugliese, Pugliese, regarding a mask mandate that she is representing a downtown business and is asking for specific guidance and help for mask mandates. I think we did receive information that both Buncombe County and City Council plans to introduce a mask mandate, I think on the 17th is what I saw. Gail, was that your response? Okay, perfect. Any questions or comments regarding that public comment? All right, moving on. Another one from Patsy Prickett regarding hotel development. She had a couple questions. What changes to hotel development happened after the hotel moratorium? Does the Zoning and Planning Commission and City Council listen to community input and concerns? It seems like the Zoning and Planning Commission and City Council approve every project. I'm not specifically sure how to address those, as we do not control Zoning and Planning Commission or City Council. Gio.
I would be happy to say that planning and zoning does consider every project that's brought before it. So
Very good. That has been my experience. Sasha.
I guess the one thing I would add from a staff perspective is that we looked at maps and did a lot of analysis of the entire city and really reduced the amount of places that you could ask for a hotel. I mean, it's not necessarily going through conditional zoning processes all the time, but it's really tightened up a lot, I would say.
Agreed. Andrew.
Yeah, I think I'm not going to say that I like every part of the hotel plan, but I think one of the strongest parts, and I was proud to contribute on, was creating negative points in that matrix for businesses and people that get displaced, basically in a way to avoid the situation where we had 80 offices in the Flatiron building that were run out, to make that a highly penalized type of project. So there are some good things in it that I'm hoping will be steering development a little better.
Okay, I think that's a reasonable answer. And if Ms. Prickett would like to re-engage with us, I think we'd be happy to discuss this further. Sage.
I was just going to let y'all know that in September, council will be looking at and reviewing the hotel overlay district and all of the things we built, just as a general 6-month check-in. So if anybody has concerns, you can reach out to me or all of council directly.
Okay, very good. Any other comments regarding those 2 public comment? I would also like to note that regarding 18 Broadway, I think 3 of our members and Dana, our staff, received a comment from Michael McDonough, a local architect, regarding 18 Broadway. As his comments were primarily or entirely related to the design, we will forward that as public comment to the Design Review Committee, so that review board can engage with those comments directly in our meeting next week. And I believe that is all of the written comments or voicemails that have been received to date. Again, there is a live call-in opportunity during the meeting as we work through our agenda. Very good. So at this, Yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Chair, I think now would be the time to take live calls, and we do not have any callers in the queue.
Oh, perfect. Okay. Do they have the opportunity to call in during the rest of the meeting?
It should be during the public comment period on the agenda, but I'm happy to keep an eye to see if other
Just in
calls come
case.
in.
Okay, thank you. Very good.
Sure.
All right. So any other comments or questions regarding public comment? Perfect. At this time, we'll move into our new business in presentations, project review, development impact discussion. So the first thing we wanted to discuss was a review. We have a draft of an impact checklist that Dana and I have kind of pulled together because we copied some stuff Stephanie had done. And really this now please understand the purpose is not to restrict our discussion, but to make sure that there are things that we try to be consistent, that we consistently cover. So in no way is this checklist intended to restrict any questions that you might have or want to discuss, but more to try to make sure that we cover certain things as we review projects. So I'll leave it there and let you respond. If you again, you've got this. If you'd like to reword things or ask to add things, please let us know now. The other intent is one of the things we wanted to be able to do, at least I did, is possibly provide this to applicants so that they know some of the things that we might be looking at and asking, so that they were prepared with their materials and or when they are come before us. So, any questions on the draft impact checklist? So it's perfect. That is awesome.
Way to go, Sasha.
Yeah, that's right.
Dana. Wow.
Stephanie and Dana just knocked it out of the park, first rattle out of the box. So very good. Okay, so well, Dana, I think we can then assume that this is a working document. It is not something that is, we're not going to formally adopt it or anything like that. This will just be a working document so that we can modify it as we see fit, as we move forward, as we learn things, as we apply it. So I'll just kind of leave that there. So again, it has preliminary development impact theme areas, including parking, multimodal transportation, economic development, livability, urban design, sustainability, environment questions, issues regarding equity and racial justice, balance of uses, public safety, alignment with the downtown master plan, any other plan alignments such as Living Asheville, specific architecture or building design issues, stormwater and or any issues brought forward in public input. So with that, I will leave that one. Andrew, yes, sir.
I think it's actually a really great list. It looks a lot like some of the discussions we've had in the past, so it seems really reflective of the types of questioning we have done. I know that one of the newer things that we're talking about, especially with the noise ordinance, I think it made a contribution in the sustainability and environment category about noise, because noise is kind of an environmental issue, and we know that loss of tree canopy increases the sound of the effects of noise in our city. So I think while that is on our recent radar, something to consider.
And you'd put that under the sustainability environmental piece, Andrew?
I think I would, yeah.
Okay, we'll edit that and consider that as well. Actually, somebody's doing it right now. Very good. Any other comments or questions? Okay. We will, again, there's no vote for that. So we'll move on to 18 Broadway. These are facade changes to a historic building. Hopefully you all have those materials available to you. And I'm not sure if staff is, Sasha, are you doing that one? Perfect. Robin, did you raise your hand or no? Okay. Sorry, I'm tracking like 15 movements at once here.
Thank you. Yes, so this is 18 Broadway, and can you all see my screen?
That's a yes.
Thank you. I can't see you. So this is 18 Broadway. It's this small brick building here, 2 stories. It was a bar for many years, and the downstairs, ground level storefront has been altered over the years. So I have some historic pictures. I'll go through the project thing, but I'm going to just give some context for you first. So this is a little clip from an old postcard, really the postcards of the Langren Hotel that was on the corner where the AC is now. And so it's not hugely detailed. I couldn't find any really good pictures of this building itself. But the triangle, or the gabled parapet is pretty noticeable in this unique window, and it had an awning over it for many years. In the 50s, the awning is gone and it's very dark, so we can't really see what's going on there. I do suspect, though, that this building was very similar at the storefront to the Tressa's building. It may even have the same architect. We're trying to find out. Somebody told me last night it might be a Richard Sharp Smith building. I'm not sure about that yet, but you can see, and actually this is true on the 18 Broadway building there, the transom windows. On 18 Broadway, it's just wood up here now, and I'm not sure if there's any glass there, but the recessed door was probably like that on 18 Broadway, and then it had storefront windows, or kind of storefront at flush with the building facade, and possibly a second door as well. There is a second door there today here, so I don't know if that was a part of it or not. It's unclear. So to go through the planning set, so this is Old Europe. The owner of Old Europe has bought this building and is really, it's going to be the new home of Old Europe, which of course we want to support. The proposal right now is to take away the gabled parapet and leave the top window, the original window, and then completely replace the storefront. And actually, it's actually pushing back. I'm not sure if it's more, it may be a little bit more, pushing this whole storefront back a little bit. So this will be clearer when we go through the drawings. So I'll make this a little bigger. So this view here on the left is probably the one that I think is the easiest to understand. So the door is pushed back, which, which probably was historically, and is, in terms of ADA access, that's helpful. You have door swing that's not swinging out into the sidewalk, but because of grade, it's a very smooth transition from the sidewalk. I don't know. I've checked with building safety, and they're going to get back to me. This lip here, or like it's starting to be a curb as the grade falls away going north on Broadway, this becomes a trip hazard in my mind. And we had this situation at the art museum. So I think at the art museum, there's either planters or a railing there, because we don't want people falling into the storefront. I mean, obviously planters maybe could fix this easily. So I guess from my perspective, the main problem with this is kind of creating this faux new kind of design that really, to me, doesn't really fit Asheville. It doesn't necessarily fit this building. This is a contributing building to our National Historic District. We have, over time, we have lost details of these buildings. And so we're really trying to, limit the amount of losses we have now. So it's a small thing. And this is where design review is, voluntary compliance. But we still want to encourage keeping, maybe this is a better view. So you can see here on the left, this is where the original storefront was altered significantly. There's this brick wall here with smaller windows. And this is the new design. And so this here on the left where my cursor is, if you can see, that's where the transoms were. It has wood there now, but those were windows, right? So, and I believe the frame of those transoms are still there. There's a picture. And that's all I have. I'm happy to hear your comments and questions, and I've been holding my staff report until you all could talk about this, and I can add your comments to it.
Gio.
Who's the architect on this project?
It's Brent Campbell, and we've had a conversation, and he understands kind of where staff's coming from, and this is the owner really driving this and is really invested in. I mean, I think she's the one who kind of came up with what she wanted to see for this.
Stephen Lee.
I just have a couple of comments, and just thinking about the big picture here. This is the owner's soon to be, I guess, fourth location downtown, and each time they have occupied a space, they have not only reinvigorated it, but in their own way and it's on a new street, just made a huge difference. And I think that's important to be aware of. They're a tremendous asset to our business community downtown. And while I respect the need to retain the historic character of buildings, it's interesting just to see how bad the building has looked for 20 years and boarded up. I'm going to assume that the parapet or entablature, that parapet removal is kind of a cost and construction issue. But frankly, I think that the change with the arched windows on the lower level, just kind of speaks to a French bakery and is really beautiful and appealing. And again, the loss of the historic transoms that are boarded up now, it would be nice if that were saved, but I really think these arch openings are nice. This is where it's good to have architects on the review committee, Moffitt and Raines, to tie into this. I also think that, this planter that she's got proposed, or the owner has proposed up top, this owner runs a tight business, folks, and all of us here know this. And those are going to be gorgeous, and it's just going to really contribute to the streetscape. I think it's a really great project.
Thank you. Andrew. Andrew, you're muted. Sorry.
Yep, thank you. That parapet is such an interesting feature. It really seems to be an iconic part of that building. It's hard to kind of imagine that building with the loss of that feature, along with the little tripartite windows above, on sort of the right below that. What why do we lose the parapet to get this during this design phase? Why are we losing this?
I'm not sure. I asked Brent the same question, and I think he's out of town right now, I think, and next week, but and I think he talked to Ms. Vetro about it. I was thinking that the drawings that were going to come in were going to have it retained, so I'm not sure what happened in the discussions, if it's just.
So it looks at this point, though, to me, I'm trying to get from the drawings what's going on here. Does that parapet, that gable there, is there a corresponding roof line behind that, or is it a flat roof? And that is just a facade.
Oh, it's a flat roof.
Okay.
Where we can we can pull out. Yeah, it's not.
Okay, I see there. Yeah. So it just looks nice, but I mean, this is design review. We're talking about what looks nice.
That's right.
I think it's historical and it looks nice. I wish it was retained.
That's noted. Thank you, Andrew. Okay, I see. I think I saw Gio and then Robin. So Gio.
Yeah, just a quick comment. I agree with Andrew. I think it's kind of charming, and I'd love to see that retained as opposed to just going back to sort of a going forward to a flat, you know, thing there. I agree with Andrew. I'd like to keep it retained.
Okay. Robin?
I think if we're talking about preserving the historical elements of this building, I think that parapet is a strong argument, but I don't really think the storefront is as strong of an argument because it's been so modified over the years and we are guessing what it might have looked like. So I don't have as much problem with the new storefront configuration because, I mean, it does look better than it did previously in this drawing to me. But so I'd say if we hold anything near and dear, it's the parapet. If we feel strongly that the transoms should be reinstalled, then I still think there's room for what's beneath the transom to be modified because we don't know what it looked like.
Very good. If I could put on my preservation hat for just a second, yeah. So when you're looking at a building like this that has lost some of its integrity, you look at trying to maintain the significant features of the building, which would include the fenestration, the detailing, and specifically iconic forms like that raised gable. So I would agree with actually both Andrew and I would agree with Robin that the non-contributing features you could modify much more readily than you could the existing contributing significant features like the upper window and that upper gable. So I think I would be generally in favor of the planter, of the new windows, and of the arched opening, while trying to keep and maintain the existing gable. That would be my 2 cents. And then, there's really, we're discussing this from a, really a kind of a design issue. There's, as far as like, I think when we start talking about some things that Gio's brought up and we've all talked about it, the width of sidewalks, how you enter and exit buildings. And so recessing the opening like that really helps the pedestrian access and the pedestrian experience of this piece. And so I think, just from a urban design, I think that's really a good move. As far as, things that we would talk about like economic development, livability, I think Stephen Lee addressed that really well, that this is a great downtown owner and a really good place for this to go. So wanted to note that we wanted to work on that. And then I also think that when you recess something like this, you provide opportunities for really good lighting. That is, dark sky compliant. That's completely under that new planner. That we want to encourage that. So there's a lot of pieces of this that would be aligned with our master plan, would be aligned with good urban design, livability, and really good economic development. Gio, I'm sorry I've talked too long.
No, I'm glad you came back to that. I was going to ask about go back to this drawing. I am concerned about that little trip hazard. I think we really need to do something there, and I'm wondering if there's any intention of doing a sort of during the summertime or when weather permits is to being able to open up as we're looking at it, the left side, so there might be a counter there. And if so, that would be even more significant to have some sort of a barrier between the sidewalk and that drop off.
On drawing 8.6, there is what appears to be it's like this, there's this horizontal brown line that looks like it might be a counter there to me. I read it that way in the drawings. I can't remember if I saw it on one of the 3D drawings or not, but it looks like there's a little lip there.
It's on the floor plan too. The counter is shown on the floor
Is it?
plan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, Robin.
Okay.
Good catch. So I would assume that's the case. Sasha's right. We had to put up a railing.
Oh,
on the
it
art
looks like
museum.
there's maybe, if you go up a little bit, it looks like they maybe even have a little, and to the left. Oh, this is the front. Okay, that was in the back. Never mind.
Yeah. We had to put a pedestrian barrier to keep people from falling into or out of a similar little alcove that we had on the art museum. These little areas are tough downtown, where you really need to either do something in the sidewalk or do something on your side to provide that. So I think that's something that we can just note, Sasha, in the staff report, and we can address it again in the design review meeting.
Well, and I think it'll be addressed by building safety, frankly. It'll be addressed by
Absolutely.
code issues. So she was Anne Graham was gonna look at it today, and
They certainly slapped our hand. I'm sure they'll do theirs as well.
yeah, I remember.
All right. Any other comments on this one? I'd like to echo Stephen Lee that this is a great business owner, a good location, and we've got some issues with losing, I think, a historically significant form. But there's some really, really positive things about this that we would also like to keep and encourage. So with that, folks, I have not done this in a while. Do we take a formal vote on these, Dana? What do we? I don't think so. We just note them in the staff report and move on, correct? Has
Yes.
everyone that wants to comment on this had a chance to comment? I don't want to close discussion too soon.
I just want to put in, that I do agree with the parapet, and retaining that would be lovely. And it also, when you're looking at it from across the street, it echoes trusses. And I think that that's historically important, architecturally as well for Asheville. But yes, super excited that the local businesses coming in and doing such great things on the street, and definitely hope it goes through.
Cool.
Thank you all for your comments. It's very helpful to get different perspectives. So.
Any other comments on that? It's awesome head nod. So I think we like it pretty good. All right. Well, I'll move forward to the next item of business unless anyone objects. Wonderful. Reestablishment of committees. So this was something that I asked to be put in the agenda, and it was when I thought we were going to be in person. So we've not been able to hold as many subcommittees as you folks, honestly, which predate. I've only done this virtually with you guys. There's lots of you I've never actually met in person. I'm not even sure you're real. This could all be deep fakes. But we've been using working groups in lieu of committees, partly, I think, because of the difficulties of meeting virtually, whereas committees are required to provide basically public notice and the ability of the public to engage. And since one of our primary, I think, objectives as the Downtown Commission is to solicit and engage with the public, I would prefer to work as much as possible through committees that open that up for public engagement and is completely openly transparent as possible. So with that, I want to have a discussion about reestablishing our committees and getting all of us re-involved on our subcommittees. So first of all, does anybody have any? Now, I that's somewhat been thrown off kilter by the what looks to be a reinstatement of virtual meetings probably for the next couple months. I hesitate to conjecture that, but at least the next couple months, and mask mandates and fun things like that. But first of all, am I making any sense in discussing committees versus working groups? And what are your thoughts on these items and getting things moved back up? Dane, and then Gio.
Yeah, I do agree with you. I much prefer the committee format over the work group format. But, with the face mask mandate being, reapplied in Buncombe County, it might be a little bit premature to have this conversation.
Okay, thanks. Gio.
This is based on the photographs that I sent y'all, and I think maybe, we talked about briefly, but I think public management, the space management it's time to re-energize that group, whether it's in a committee form or other.
Okay. Andrew, and Andrew had a ton of ideas about committees and how to reorganize committees and get this started, which I'm kind of hoping he takes this over. Go.
Gio, you said what I was about to say. I was the former chair or current chair, I guess, of the Public Space Management Committee, and I know that a lot of our work predated the pandemic, and it helped. I know Dana has said that it heavily informed some of the responses to the pandemic about what was likely to sort of accelerated a lot of those plans. I think now, as we're looking at the shared space initiative ending at the end of the year, that this is a really opportune time for this particular committee to resume work and basically review successes and failures of the shared space agenda and see if we can't keep the successes and filter out the challenges to it. So I think I think that one in particular has a ticking clock on the work that we should be and could be doing. I'd also like to note that the working groups can sometimes be great for discussions, but because there's not will not be a city staff person there. Sometimes they can be devoid of foundation and information that otherwise would help those discussions very much. So I think they have their utility is limited by that feature of them, and so I would caution any ambition about getting more done without staff present.
That's a really good point. Dana.
Thanks, Andrew. I don't think a working group has to mean that there's no staff present. I think part of the challenge with the remote meetings is if those working group meetings are remote, is supporting it through technology to be live streamed. But I don't think that, as a rule, staff wouldn't be participating in the working groups. I also appreciate the comments about Public Space Management Committee, and I think it's really good timing. And right after we talk about this, I want to talk a little bit about a possible work session with the Multimodal Committee, which would look at a lot of these items. And I think it makes sense for the Public Space Management Committee to get together before then. So I think it's really appropriate timing to get the group back together. And
yeah, I would note, Dana, I do understand that sometimes you can have staff help at a work session, but you always would have staff help at a subcommittee, at a committee session. So that's so one's an option and the other it goes with it, if I'm understanding this correctly. So that is something to know and to balance. So of course we always love having you at a meeting, Dana. So
that's good. Let's go ahead and fold this into the discussion of the fall work session with the multimodal. So one of the reasons that this is all coming up is that we discussed in our last meeting parking issues, which is another subcommittee that needs to Sage can't keep running it because she's on council now. So we need a chair, and we need folks to take that over. It sounds like Andrew is at least interested in continuing with the public space management. Is that correct, Andrew? Am I reading you correctly? Thank you. Anyway, there's a lot of this stuff that is coming all together as we discuss lots of these pieces and how they fold into each other. Sage. Is it just me that can't hear her?
I was just going to say that the
Whoops.
This happened yesterday with Sage's internet. She'll
Okay.
come right back.
All right. Let me say this real quickly. As Sage is coming back in, I think we should begin to make sure that we have all of our committees, subcommittees, basically populated so that we're ready to go. Just in case we're able to move from a less virtual into a less virtual environment in the next couple of months before our next meeting, because we're still anticipating some ability to have a work session with multimodal in the fall was the idea as we move forward. Those of you who have an interest in things like say parking or you're familiar with our committee structure, subcommittee structure, please let Dana or I know, and we can move forward. Sage is back. I filibustered. I'm ready for you.
Thanks. I was just going to say the parking committee working group met, and Karen Ramshaw agreed to try and kind of lead through it. She's not a downtown commission member, so I don't know if that matters, but we do have like a leadership kind of component in place, and stuff is kind of happening. So brief update.
Okay. Any thoughts or comments on making sure our subcommittees are up and running?
I'll just make one more comment, Brian. I just forwarded you like a template document that the Riverfront Commission is using to recognize some of their committees and identify work plan goals. And I think it could help us with structure between now and our next meeting if we want to work on populating that with everybody. I think it'll help get us on track. So just a tool for us.
Thank you. Gia.
I just wanted to mention that an informal group is meeting. We did not meet last week, but it's multimodal people, bike people, me from planning, Chris Joel from the design center, and we're going to be looking at the outdoor spaces that are currently set up, and I think this is a really good time to sort of coordinate this. So I'm all for trying to. Well, we'll meet informally. I'll report back to you, but I think this is a good time to re-engage these committees and maybe add some others as we need.
Gio, can you make sure, since Andrew's the chair of the public space management, can you make sure and interface with him directly as well?
Sure.
Communicate whatever's happened informally to him.
Sure.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
I think I saw Franzi and then Kimmy and then Megan.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that the local living economy subcommittee, or I guess it was a working group officially, I'm not going to be able to continue that, and since this is my last year on the downtown commission, but selfishly, I would love to see that continue in some capacity if it was possible. So just wanted to throw that in there.
Thank you. Okay. Kimberly.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention, since you might be working from the framework of a worksheet, if we could incorporate, I think it was last year, I'm getting my months mixed up, we all did a deep dive on what was like areas of priority. And so that can get overlaid into it, so there isn't this huge kind of shift. That would be great, because that's work we've already done together and came to consensus on. Thanks.
That's a great note. Thank you. I saw somebody else's hand. Megan, was that you?
Yeah. Just to Sage's point, I'm just curious if we move back into a more formal committee structure, does the chair of these committees need to be a member of the commission? Something to get clarification on, if nothing else.
I believe so. If it's a committee of the downtown commission, then the leaders, the whoever's, you know what, instead of, I need to look at I'm not sure.
I don't know if that's defined explicitly, so that's something we can check on.
Yeah, I think that's probably the 2017 minutes when we started that committee back up, parking and transportation. We went through all of that and we got all the rules and they were all in those notes. I think it says something, but I couldn't remember if it was required to be the chair. It must have a commission member. Well, Megan, you could do it.
Well, that's sort of where I was headed. I mean, I'm happy to step in if Karen would like to kind of co-lead that, given that parking always comes up for our members as a top issue.
Yeah, I mean, it could honestly be just as simple as we make sure, I mean, we're going to be there and one of you just go, okay, I'm going to start the meeting, and then you let the public person that's also there run because they're really good at what they do, right? And that's part of what the committees are supposed to do, is pulling in the expertise and passion of our community into this group that we then communicate in initiatives back to council. Okay, Andrew.
Yeah, I just wanted to basically say what you just did. I mean, if you have to have a nominal chair that is a downtown commission member, that's fine, but that's no reason that someone with energy and capacity that wants to lead that discussion cannot function as, you know, as the substantive leader, if not the nominal leader. So I don't think there's any reason to, if Karen wants to pitch in and help, I let not the title be in the way.
Agreed. Okay, so I'm pulling up several documents. Okay. Well, Dana, can you introduce a little bit more about the, and we'll move this into the discussion of the fall work session. Can you describe what's going on there a little bit?
Sure. So I've been coordinating with Jessica Morris of the Transportation Committee, and I think that there have been some informal conversations happening with a group that includes GEO. Maggie Ullman is helping coordinate some of that. And I appreciate the suggestion, Brian, to include Andrew. I've also asked if additional downtown commission representation could participate, but they are going to be working on a series of work sessions to look at some different areas of interest. One area they're very interested in is parklets and shared streets, that we have tried during COVID. The Downtown Commission, obviously, and through the public space management work, has done so much work to consider how we look at public spaces, in a comprehensive and thoughtful way. And so part of what I think we would want to do at this work session is go over that public space management work and be able to present to you all the guidelines, the draft guidelines, and get some feedback. But a big part of that is bringing folks along, revisiting the survey that was done, and understanding what we had learned. Also going over all of the temporary outdoor expansion initiatives, probably most specifically parklets and shared streets, and reviewing how those went, lessons learned. We're working on launching a public survey in early September, so we'll have some additional public feedback to look at, and working together to consider what some of the priorities are, what could be continued, what it would take to continue some of this longer term, and still working on, I think, some of the details on what exactly those discussion points would be at the work session, and would there be follow-up, some research to be done. But I think that hopefully can be a good opportunity for us to come together and to really hear from these advisory bodies on priorities on where we go from here and some guidance on where to go from here. Because there's a lot of really tough questions to consider with parklets. So during this temporary program, those have been primarily used by restaurants as outdoor dining space. Before COVID, parklets were generally considered public space, like mini parks. Should we split this off into a streeteries program for restaurants that might have certain requirements and standards, and a parklet program that would be public space and have some different requirements and programs? So really kind of digging in on some of those details. And again, I think it would be good for the Public Space Management Committee to probably meet before that date, and we'll try to cross collaborate to make sure that we can plan a really productive work session. But did want to put the date out there. I think it's Wednesday, October 27th at 3:00, probably 2 hours, 2 to 3 hours. Wanted to just see if that was workable for you all. That's one of the Multimodal Commission's regular meeting times. But
did you say 3:00, Dana?
Yeah. And so I can go ahead and send a meeting holdout if that seems like it's workable enough for this group.
That's good. I wanted to note a couple things. One of the things that's going on with this is, and to Kimmy's point, when we went through the priorities and recommendations, we kind of identified some major things regarding justice, and then what we're talking about right now keys into both what we considered pandemic items and then master plan updates. And so with what Dana's talking about, what would be great is if we had like a streetscape master plan that actually kind of went through what we wanted to do, and this all kind of worked together with our downtown master plan and our Living Asheville master plan, and we had identified our key pedestrian streets and how we wanted those used, and we had and then we could develop guidelines based on that streetscape master plan. That would require a full streetscape survey, which we don't have, and we don't have the streetscape master plan. But we need some guidelines for how we utilize these spaces, because we've got people that need them right now. So we're going to probably have to come up with some stopgap measures on what to apply, and then work into our streetscape master plan as part of what I hope to be the downtown master plan update. So all of this stuff is kind of coming together at once, and it all involves all the pieces that we talk about all the time, including a lot of this is who gets the revenue from these spaces and how does all that work? That all comes back into some of the justice issues that we've talked about. Yeah.
Just another facet that's been going on for the last few months is we've been having a working session on tree planting specifications, and so there's a lot going on that really needs to be sorted out. So this is a really good timing for us to do this.
Okay, so if everyone that is available for that work session with on October 27th, and is that planned to be in person or virtual, or we don't even know, do we? We don't even know what we can do, so never mind. Sorry.
We'll have to wait and see. I think ideally it could be in person, realistically, likely virtual. But if it is virtual, we're trying to look at some tools, whiteboards and things like that, so it can be a little bit more interactive.
We can stand in Pritchard Park with like cans and string or something, All right. Any comments or questions regarding committees in the fall work session? I don't want to keep you too long, and I'm getting close already. Wonderful. At this time, we'll move into our updates and reports. Stephen Lee, do you have anything for the Design Review Committee?
I do. On, let's see, July 15th, there was one project that was located within the downtown area, and it was very favorably received. It's in the location where the current Mel Chin, that gigantic sculpture, is located on the south slope at 44 Collier Avenue. I'll just keep this really brief, but it was a mixed-use project that had restaurant, art studio space, retail on the ground floor, underground parking, a 24-room hotel on the second floor, and then 10 condos on the third floor. It was very favorably received by the committee members, just based on the exterior architecture and the scale with the space. And I know that Commissioner Hunter and Raines and Moffitt were each there. So if anybody wants to comment, but that was the only project that was downtown. Thank you.
He summarized it. I don't really have any comments, unless Robin does. Okay, perfect. I'll keep moving.
Commissioner Moffitt,
yes.
I would just tell you all, sorry, that it's going to technical review on Monday, and it may or may not be on the September design review meeting agenda. It probably won't be. I'm hoping it'll be in October, so it'll be coming to either September or October. But.
Okay, thank you. I will go to Commissioner Rogers for the Asheville Downtown Association.
Okay. So you guys might have seen that we announced that we were going to postpone the August 20th Downtown After 5. This was after a lengthy discussion at our board meeting and just the uncertainty around even outdoor events and wondering if we're contributing to a worsening public health crisis by having thousands of people in a space together. And ultimately, just out of an abundance of caution, we decided to, hopefully we can postpone that event till later in the fall. We're working on some ways to add additional safety measures in September in hopes that we might be able to move forward with that event. But that decision will be made based on, where our community health numbers and COVID numbers are. Mostly the response has been positive so far from the community and our volunteers and sponsors. So I'm sure not everyone agrees, but I think it was the right decision to make right now. We also have 2 surveys that we recently did. Well, one is currently open, and that is the indoor mask mandate, just checking in with our members to see if they support an indoor mask mandate. And I was just looking, we've had 86 respondents in less than 24 hours to that survey, and 79% of those businesses so far are in support of an indoor mask mandate. Once this survey closes, I'll send it to City Council and County Commission so that they can take it into consideration. And then we had a much larger survey out for about 2 weeks, our mid-year issue survey, which just the deadline on that was just a couple days ago, so I haven't had a chance to really dig into it, but I plan to do that next week, and I can put together some kind of report for possibly our September meeting or a meeting in the future on that. And that's it, unless there's questions.
Excellent. Thank you. I do not see any questions. Okay. Dana, the downtown update.
All right. And you all have a report on your agenda. Talked a little bit about the temporary outdoor expansion initiatives. Just want to note again that staff's working on a survey, a public survey that we hope to get out probably either right before or right after Labor Day. So we'll make sure you guys get that. And if you could help get the word out, that would be awesome. We've done surveys with participating businesses and got some really good information, but we haven't, and we're welcoming feedback on a public input page on these programs, but we haven't done a public survey to explicitly solicit that. So that's coming up. American Rescue Plan Act funding. There was a council work session on July 27th. Staff presented some different bucket areas where funding could be directed, and staff will be returning for another upcoming work session on August 24th to try to narrow down those priority categories a little bit more. And then an RFP will go out to the community, most likely for nonprofit organizations and public organizations to respond, to propose that they can provide some of the particular services that have been prioritized by City Council. So yes, keep an eye out for more information there. Hotel policy updates. I think we brought this up briefly. Yeah. Staff's going to go to City Council September 14th to talk about the first 6 months of the new hotel regulations and get any direction from City Council on changes. One thing that's going to be discussed is that there haven't been enough folks from the Riverfront Commission that want to participate on the design review committee, and thinking about possibilities to change the structure of that committee. Although the Riverfront folks talked about this yesterday, and I'm not exactly sure where that will land, but just calling out that component of it. Sasha, is there anything else you want to add to this upcoming update to let the Downtown Commission know about?
I'll let Sage go, and then
yeah.
I'll see.
I was just going to add, so we talked a little bit about the missing or empty design review seat, and because it was a big jump for them. They weren't reviewing as many projects as y'all, so y'all were used to it and they weren't. And so some of them didn't have the time commitment ability. Anyways, one idea I threw out was possibly having an at-large seat. So not necessarily that the commissions would pick a random seat, because I think council wanted to be like kind of, at least I wanted to be not twice removed from selecting a seat that reviews such an important project and kind of use in our community. But so we may talk about at large. If y'all have any input on that, just let me know. You can reach out directly or to all of council.
I guess the only other thing I would add would be that the other issue that, and really we're asking council for direction, so it'll be kind of a high level update. One issue we're seeing is that we're seeing extended stay hotels, and extended stay is not bad in and of itself, but the structures are their individual condominiums, and we cannot regulate ownership by law, but we do expect there to be a centralized management, that it's a hotel. It's not just 20 Airbnbs, right? Like in one building. So I think there's possibility of some text changes to tighten that language up a little bit. So that's all I would say.
Thanks. Development project updates. So I've listed some of these projects that are working through the development review process. It looks like the September design review committee could be a long meeting, several projects coming through. And just a note that the next design review committee meeting is going to be held next Thursday at 12:30 p.m. And the 4 Points 22 Woodfin Street project is scheduled to go to City Council on August 24th. Anything particular, Sasha, that you want to call out here?
I don't think so. The Moxie Hotel, the design review committee saw a couple months ago, saw a kind of a preview, informal review, and we're pretty excited about it. And we'll have an informal review of 217 Hilliard, the micro housing, next week. And also hopefully we'll get to 48 South Market Street, which is just a one-story addition to a historic building. So.
Thank you. Since we last met, the revised noise ordinance went to City Council and Council approved it on July 27th, and that new ordinance will go into effect September 15th. And in the meantime, a new noise ordinance advisory board is being set up, and applications are open for that. So just wanted to let you all know. And I think that's kind of the highlight. Andrew.
Yeah, I noticed that it is not listed on the vacancies page, the boards and commissions vacancies page. So you can go there and get a link and you can type, but it does not actually say that there. I was just reviewing this yesterday. So if you've changed it in the last 24 hours, that's great. But as of yesterday, the vacancy on the noise ordinance board was not listed.
I'll check on that. Thanks. Anyone else want to comment on the noise ordinance? Just okay. Stephen Lee.
This is just a comment. I don't know how appropriate this is, but the first event that was held on Cox Avenue, I think it was a week ago. It was great to see all of the pedestrian traffic, and it was really exciting. The noise, the sound from Patton Avenue was extremely intense. I just want everybody to know that. I don't know if people have heard comments about it, but it was loud, like the loudest thing I've heard downtown. But just point of note. Thank you.
I heard it. Yeah.
It was loud.
Yeah.
Kimmy. Sorry.
Sorry. Let Kimmy go, and then you go, Gio.
Thanks. So I guess my only comment and question kind of combined is, how are decibels being factored in with road noise that's not human related, or any other kind of sounds? That's my question / concern is, if people are agitated all day because there's a widening of a road or construction or high traffic use because of, people are no longer quarantined and there's more driving and tourism and buses. And then when it comes to people gathering at the end of the night, is there going to be like a punitive, reaction because the consensus or thought or feeling is enough already? So I just want us to be mindful that there are multiple factors that make up sound and contribute to decibels. And how is that going to be handled that it doesn't land on the human at the end of an evening as the punitive factor for the entire cumulative day? So just a question. Thank you.
And Councilwoman Turner might be more of an expert on some of the details than me, but I do think there are some good controls in place. For noise generated from public space, it's based on different factors. It's not measured just with a decibel level. It's measured on context and reasonableness. And so I don't expect the point of this updated ordinance isn't to go out proactively enforcing anything that's over a certain level. It really is intended to be a reasonable approach, a little bit more objective when there's sound being generated from private properties. But I will say that there's going to be a period of time. This starts September, and then we're all going to see how this goes. And if there needs to be certain adjustments or changes, definitely looking to the community to let us know what is working or what's not working. And Sage, did you want to add anything?
In some ways, before with the noise ordinance, we didn't have any way to kind of collect data, review data, make changes. So even now, just having to register events, basically get permits and stuff, will help us identify, even being able to talk to a venue once there's a problem. Before it was just so anecdotal. People had a problem, they call. But I think some of this is just starting the work of collecting information, not just knowing what the best decibel levels are. That stuff could be subject to change, just like the hotel ordinances. So I think we said we'd come back in like 6 or so months, but we didn't want to do that if it was the middle of winter. So it would be somewhere in the spring, probably.
I see 2 hands up, Gio and then Andrew.
Stephen Lee, I wasn't at Cox. I just wondered if you could be more specific. What kind of sounds were you hearing from Patton? I'm assuming that once the event closed down, suddenly there was it just ambient downtown noise, or was it specific?
No, this was from the 8th floor of an office building on Patton Avenue, and it was during the sound testing at 5 o'clock, and then at the very initial stages of the concert. I didn't hear it the whole time, but it was enough for us all to go outside and try to figure out what was going on. And it was loud. It's the loudest sound I've heard since Belshare, but I think that's what the intent is. But I just think it's important for everybody to know, given the concerns that were raised earlier by a lot of people, there are residents that live in buildings that are closer than my office. And but at 5 o'clock, the sound checks were surprisingly loud. Like, yeah. So
Thank you.
yeah.
And Andrew, you're muted.
So thanks. I will note some of the feedback I've gotten. I asked my attorney to review the noise ordinance. She described it as pro-citizen. A busker sought me out. Somebody I did not know sought me out and described the noise ordinance. This is somebody who's busked all over the country. Described it as the best noise ordinance he has ever seen. So I think that we actually did a pretty great job on that effort. And I know that while I advocated for a slightly different result, I'm pretty pleased with where we landed as it is, and I think that we can address the concerns. I will say that this is the hardest policy I've ever worked on. Creating a blanket that is going to fit every situation and make everybody happy, and this is physically impossible because the physical nature of the city changes from location to location so much, and there are such things as natural amphitheaters that function to increase the sound, and that can be both man-made in the sort of canyoning effect in downtown, and that can also be natural, as you see in West Montfort. And so creating a blanket policy that is going to fit all these different situations is going to be impossible. If we're going to have a music industry, we're going to have ragged edges around this policy, and there's simply not a way to make this perfect. It is a physical problem. So thanks to staff for all the effort that went into this. I know it was so much more than any other city went through, and that's really, really appreciated, both as a resident and as someone who makes a lot of my livelihood on sound.
Sage.
I was just going to say that some of the things that we discussed in reviewing this ongoing ordinance update was design. So I kept bringing it up that the design guidelines for downtown could have some encouraging or recommendations around higher quality windows for condo projects, and identify that, if you're near a public outdoor venue and so on, and just make suggestions. Also, some of the case that is, we have a couple areas that have it worse than others. As Andrew said, some kind of, natural landscape amphitheater or whatever. So the Aston is one of those, and they're right up the alley from Rabbit. And we noticed there's like no street trees. I mean, there's just an absence of things. And, those are just things that this commission, well, I guess you're not doing design review, but you'll be talking about, the impacts of projects, and, weighing in on guideline updates and stuff, I think could really help, even if little parts are tweaked. We do a lot about screening of rooftop, but we don't do a lot of like listening to rooftop equipment kind of stuff. 2 cents.
Yeah, if you want to catch a concert, it's cheaper to rent a spot on Aston and just like sit in the back of your car, your truck. And because when I came to get my car on Aston, it was unbelievable. It was great. If I wanted to catch the concert, I just would have stayed there. So yeah. I think we've beat that horse to death for today. So let's move on into the final 2 items for the downtown update.
All right. I had shared at our last meeting that parking rate changes were going into effect July 1st. They have not gone into effect yet. So the monthly rates will begin September 1st. And the new garage rates are going to begin once the equipment is replaced. And I don't have a date on that. That is in progress. And then just a note, it had already come up. Yes, Andrew.
Yeah, I want to note that the new fee structure of restoring that first hour free, so that stays under 1 hour, actually cheaper than they were, is great. And I know that you can't charge differential rates based on the user, so we can't give like a local discount. But what we can do is this type of thing, which is create products that locals are going to be more interested in and more useful to. And so this strategy of creating a product that is more likely to be used by locals and making it more accessible is, I think, a really sound strategy, and I support that approach in other realms.
Sage.
Well, since there's like 3,000 people tuning into this very active meeting online, I just wanted to put out that we did do something else for locals that where we did a 12-hour rate. So the workforce in downtown can actually do a 12-hour parking pass in the decks at, I believe it's half, $80 a month. So that was a significant savings from, say, using a meter every day, or so that's a cool perk too for all of those that are listening at home right now.
And there's a lot of monthly parking available. So tell your friends that need monthly parking. We talked about this a little bit already, but cities meetings are back to virtual, and just announced this week as well, masks are required in all city facilities. And the county has the same requirement in place. So just want to keep you all informed. That is all I've got.
I have one item that I forgot to. Go ahead.
I skipped one. Emergency shelter. So there was a
Laura.
meeting. Yeah, it's not downtown, but I know that homelessness is an issue for downtown, and I just wanted to make sure you guys are aware of this. There was a meeting yesterday, which I didn't attend, a public meeting to talk about the city's potential to purchase the Ramada Inn in East Asheville over in River Ridge. And that's going to be discussed at City Council at their August 24th meeting. And I provided a link to more information. So I just wanted to keep you guys posted.
Y'all, I tuned into that meeting yesterday. It was fantastic. Very informative, and then lots of public comments. So if you're wondering kind of where this thing is at, it's a really great one to watch. It was about an hour and a half.
There's a final item that I neglected to include on the updates and reports, and that is there's been a working group. Gio and Robin and I have been involved on revising the open space requirements for our ordinances. It doesn't. Thankfully, at this point, I can say that it should not affect this central business district after a long fight, and it has it will impact some of the projects that we review, and it has kind of spilled over, as I think Gil already mentioned, into updating our tree standards, which will also impact our design review. But I think we're probably within another, 20 or 30 meetings of receiving resolution on it. So somewhat tongue-in-cheek, but not really. I just wanted to give a quick update on that. And then I don't think we're allowed to do socials anytime soon, but we would like to, because again, I haven't met most of you, and you look like you would be wonderful people to meet. We'd like to do that. And then meeting minutes are going forward are going to be in an abbreviated format as action minutes. Since we are video recording everything, there's really no need in having someone try to take down a verbatim every statement made. So I think we've covered everything, and it's not even 11 o'clock. Look at us. Are there any other items or comments that you would wish to make? Wonderful. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
You have a motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
Perfect. All in favor? Adjourn.
Bye. Bye, everyone. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Cheers. Good morning.